Hi kids, it's me again, and we're back here at the church, wishing that you were here with us, but we can't have that yet, so we're just going to do our Bible stories and send you information with your gift packet that shows what we're doing. Today I'm sending you this picture along with some stickers and the baby, and you can make a good picture of the story that I'm telling you today. And today is the story of Moses. This was Ella Norris's favorite Bible story. And I didn't hear from anybody this week to tell me to do a different story, so I decided to do Ella's story, her favorite. And maybe it will be Maddie's as well, because Maddie's her little sister. Well, this is a story about a very cruel, mean king. He was the Pharaoh. He headed up all of Egypt, and Egypt was very, very large back then. This is before Jesus' birthday, as all of our stories so far have been, before Jesus. And he ran the country. He took care of the people. He did all the things a king was supposed to do, but he was also not very nice to the Israelites. And as you recall, the Israelites are God's people. They moved into Egypt when they didn't have any food where they lived. And they came to Egypt and they took over a part of the lands and they farmed it, and they had sheep, and they did all the things they needed to do for their families. Built their homes there. It was home for them. And their families and the families before them, they all lived in Egypt. And so it became like their country, as well as the Egyptians. Well, the Egyptians and the Israelites did not get along. And one day, the king was looking out over his land from the balcony of his palace, and he realized that there were some things that he wanted to change about the city. But he didn't have enough workers to do the things he wanted to do. He wanted to build things and change things around a little bit. So he decided, you know what, I don't like those Israelite people anyway. I think I'm going to get my soldiers to go. We're going to take all the men, and they're going to be working for me. And I'm not going to pay them either. They're going to be just my slaves. And they're going to work and help me do whatever needs to be done to build my buildings or whatever it is I wanted to have done. So that, he thought, was a good plan. And that's what he did. And all the Israelite men had to come and leave their families and come down to the city and work and do all the jobs that the king had for them. And they didn't feed him. The people didn't get fed while they were working. They just worked from real early in the morning till late in the evening, and then they would go home. And this was slavery. They were just using them like slaves. One day the king was looking out and he said, gosh, I worked these guys really hard, and still there's more and more of them. And before long, if they were to decide to cause a riot, they could really cause some trouble because there's so many of them. You know, I've got to do something about that. So he thought and thought, and then he came up with the most wicked thing I ever heard. This is so wicked. He decided that every new baby boy born to the Israelites would be killed. This is a horrible, horrible man. This is so against God. This is just so awful. I don't even know the words to say. But he did not want the Israelite people to grow more and more and more and to become stronger than the Egyptians. And that was his plan. Well, there was a family that lived, an Israelite family, that was going to have a baby. And the baby was born, and it was a little boy. And they were so frightened that the soldiers would come and take their baby. And so for a while there, they were able to hide him. And they did all kinds of things so that the soldiers wouldn't find him. But when he got to be about 3 months old, and if you guys know anything about babies, 3 months old, the baby really wants to start doing things. They want to coo and laugh, and then when they want something, they want to cry. They're kind of getting into their own when you're 3 months old. It's still a little baby, but still, they're ready to get on with growing up. And so when he got to be that age, the mom was really worried. So the family got together a plan. And the plan was to make a basket, a very, very strong basket that would float on the water. And what they would do is they would, when they knew the soldiers were coming, they would put the baby in the basket out near the edge of the river and hide him in the reeds, just like this picture shows. The reeds were all around the basket. And so that's what they did. And one day when they did that, Miriam, his sister, went down to watch over the basket. The basket floated downstream a little bit, and then it went a little bit further. And Miriam followed along the side of the river, watching the basket go. And all of a sudden she realized, oh no, it's the Pharaoh's daughter. She's in the river swimming. Oh no, she's going to see the baby. This is not good. This is not good. But the basket floated, and she sure enough saw the basket. She told one of her maids to go out and get the basket. Let's see what's in there. And when they pulled the top off the basket, she saw the baby. But it didn't happen the way Miriam thought it would. The princess fell in love with him as soon as she saw him. She said, oh, this is a little Israelite baby, and he's so cute. I think I'm going to keep him for my own. Well, Miriam was relieved that she wasn't going to call the guards to get the baby. She was happy about that, but she was going to keep the baby. And then Miriam came up with a great idea. She came out of the bushes and she went over to the princess and she said, you're going to need somebody to watch the baby and nurse the baby, aren't you? And the princess said, well, yes, I am. Do you know somebody? And Miriam said, yes, I do. And she said, oh, well, then please go get her. Tell her I will pay her to watch the baby and nurse him. So Miriam's heart just started beating so hard. She was so happy. You know where she went, don't you? She ran right home to get her mom. The mom of the baby. And this was so wonderful because the princess would protect the baby from the soldiers. They wouldn't dare mess with the princess's baby. And the mom got to have the baby. It was so wonderful. It was such a good ending to this story. And the princess named the baby Moses. And that stood for or meant that she got him out of the water. And Moses grew up strong and healthy and happy. He had his mom and he had the princess who loved him as well. You know, God used this strong little boy as he grew up to do many, many wonderful things for God and the Israelite people. And we will have to tell you some of those stories. But take this all in and remember that God loves you and that he's watching over you right now. And someday soon, all this disease will be gone and we'll be all back together again. You know, God has a plan, and his plan is that his people should be together. So we'll get together again soon. I love you guys. Bye.